I look at what you do. You walk in and you just say, you want to quit? They go on strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike and you say, that's okay, you're all gone. You're all gone. So every one of you is gone and you are the greatest. You would be very good.
Much has been made about Donald Trump's glitchy interview with Elon Musk on X yesterday, but unsurprisingly, there has been little coverage of the clip you just watched, in which Trump praised Elon Musk for being notoriously anti-union. And Musk, of course, has a deep anti-union past, and we have some of those examples for you. For instance, he's been found guilty for illegally threatening workers' stock options if they choose to unionize. Tesla has been found guilty for illegally firing an employee involved in union organizing. And many other Tesla employees have described the threats and retaliations they faced for trying to organize. So it's bad across the board. One former Tesla worker who alleges she was fired for trying to unionize stated, "Some of my most vivid memories are asking questions about the union to colleagues and being told to shut up or I'd get fired. They retaliated against me, I believe, because I was speaking up about my safety and the conditions in the factory." An anonymous current Tesla employee said, "Elon Musk says he's neutral toward the union. They've been anything but neutral. Anything union or pro-union is shut down really fast." Last year, Musk made some anti-union comments during an interview. Take a look.
I disagree with the idea of unions, but perhaps for a reason that is different than people may expect, which is I just don't like anything which creates kind of a lords and peasants sort of thing. And I think the unions naturally try to create negativity in a company and create a sort of lords and peasants situation. There are many people at Tesla who have gone from working on the line to being in senior management. There is no lords and peasants. Everyone eats at the same table. Everyone parks in the same parking lot.
Certainly wouldn't want a lords and peasants system. Thank you, Elon Musk. But let's not forget that SpaceX is currently attempting to challenge the constitutionality of the NLRB itself, along with several other companies. Of course, Trump is just as bad when it comes to issues of labor. Here's a brief summary of his personal and political history when it comes to workers and their rights. Take a look.
In a new USA Today expose that found hundreds of former employees and contractors have accused Donald Trump and his businesses of failing to pay them for their work. Victims have included a dishwasher in Florida, a glass company in New Jersey, a carpet company, a plumber, 48 waiters, dozens of bartenders at his resorts and clubs, and even several law firms that once represented him in these labor lawsuits.
In 2008, during the Great Recession, he blamed UAW members. He blamed our contracts for everything that was wrong with these companies. That's a complete lie. In 2015, when he was running for president, he talked about doing a rotation, taking all these good paying jobs in the Midwest and moving them somewhere in the South where people work for less money, and then to make people beg for their jobs back at lower wages.
President Trump spent 4 years in office distinguishing himself as the most anti-union president of the last 3 decades. He appointed Eugene Scalia, one of the nation's top anti-union lawyers, to be his Secretary of Labor. Under Trump's administration, the National Labor Relations Board implemented sweeping new rules that made it harder for workers to form unions. Trump packed the courts with anti-labor judges, people like Thomas Farr, who spent his career bringing cases before the courts to weaken unions. President Trump made it harder for workers to earn overtime, and he gutted the federal agency in charge of workplace safety.
Now, in response to Trump's comments to Elon Musk, the UAW has filed federal labor charges, accusing the two men of trying to intimidate and threaten workers. And that is a positive development, but enforcement may be difficult because Musk chuckled but did not respond to Trump's comments, making it harder for the NLRB to find him liable for making illegal threats to workers at his companies, said Wilma Liebman, chair of the NLRB under former President Barack Obama.
Hey, don't scroll away. come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
There's two parts of this story: the comments themselves, what they show and illustrate about these two men, and then the UAW complaint. What do you make of this story?
Yeah, so the number one thing I take away from this is look at these fake populists. You know, the Republican Party was set up basically to help the rich and to help corporations, and everything else is just a mirage. And we've told you that for decades on the show. We've proven it in literally thousands of cases. So they'll talk one way, and then when it comes to voting, they'll always vote against higher wages, anything related to unions, anything that helps the average American worker. The Republican Party always votes no. And Trump is the king of that. And you know, Jordan just showed you a part of his track record there. But you remember what his catchphrase was and what he got famous for on The Apprentice. You're fired. And well, we did that short for him after he was fired by the American people in 2020 election. Put that up on social media today, and somebody was like, he didn't lose, what are you talking about? He wasn't fired. All right, if you say so. Anyways, shop tyt.com for that one. But guys, I run TYT, and the very worst part of running a company is sometimes you have to fire people. And it's gut-wrenching every single time. No matter what the situation is, it's still gut-wrenching. But did it sound like it was gut-wrenching to them? That's what struck me, like the joking around and being so cavalier about firing people. You fired a lot of people, way to go, Elon. And Elon chuckles, and that's not a thing to celebrate, man. It's the very, very worst part of the job. I can't stand it. And these guys are high-fiving over it. And then they have the temerity to act like they're for the average guy and the average worker. That's a joke, it's a sick joke. So, and of course, the UAW has every right to press whatever charges that they think come out of this. I mean, it's a good question. And then Elon Musk has been legendarily anti-union. And if this is fodder for them, well, then you guys shouldn't have said it on air.
So I am so sick of, and I know you are too, these attempts by people who even are purportedly on the left, trying to point to people like Trump, less so, I think, but people like Josh Hawley and other populists on the right. I mean, what more do you need to see from these people to show that they aren't? I mean, Trump still does, in some respects, carry a populist mantle among some pundits. I don't think that's genuine or factual or correct analysis, but people do it and project it onto him anyway. And I also want to bring up, because I know we might have differing opinions on this, the Sean O'Brien Teamsters speech at the RNC. Do you think him speaking there, especially in light of these comments last night, does that make him or that decision look worse now than it did a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I don't know about that, Jordan, but I am having a little bit of second thoughts about that speech. So I thought that speech was excellent. It was the best speech I've seen at any Republican convention, and I think maybe the most progressive speech at the RNC or DNC. And so I love that he took that fire-breathing, pro-labor message into the belly of the beast at the RNC, and he never actually endorsed Trump. I think people missed that entirely. He just gave a speech about corporate rule that no politician has the courage to give. So that's why I liked it, and I thought that it was and it also gained him bipartisan credibility, so that if he criticizes Trump later, he could say, "Look, I spoke at the RNC, right? But I'm telling you that what Trump is doing is wrong," if he goes in that direction. But the reason why I'm having second thoughts about it, Jordan, is because not that many people actually watched the speech. There was reports that the donors who watched it hated it, and they were furious that he got to speak at the Republican National Convention. But now nobody remembers the speech, they just remember that he spoke there. And I've now seen the Republicans use it a couple of different times in interviews, like, "Oh no, we had the head of the Teamsters speak at the RNC," and as we knew they were going to do that. But given that the speech didn't have the impact that I wish it had, if more people had viewed it, Now it's affecting the balancing act in my mind, the equation of whether he should have done it or not, because it's an easy talking point that the Republicans use and didn't earn.
Yeah, I think the fear for a lot of people, a lot of pro-labor people, was that he and the Teamsters would be used and that speech would be exploited by the right to point to say, oh, what, we love workers, we're the party of workers. And of course they're not. And you see that from the head of the party, Trump, gleefully celebrating the firing of people trying to organize. And he framed it, these comments were made in the context of him cutting costs, which shows just how little they devalue the people that make this country run, that generate wealth for billionaires like Elon Musk and allegedly Donald Trump. Their wealth is generated on the backs of these employees' labor. And they see it as a cost-cutting measure when they just fire people, lay them off. They are not contributors. They are not part of the company. They are just a line item. So it's just a total reductionist way of looking at labor in this country.
Yeah, I'll say one last thing here. Look, guys, I've been on both sides of this. Of course, I've been an employee for a long, long time in a bunch of different companies. I've been an employer at a couple of different places, and neither side is purely angels or purely devils. It's a simplistic, binary, black and white way of looking at it. Some employees are the greatest in the world, and they make the companies what they are, right? Some employees are not the best in the world. It's certainly true of employers as well, right? And we've all had to deal with that. But when Elon Musk says things like, oh, unions create a lords and peasants situation, that's absurd. Because no, let's be honest, your salaries create that. So don't tell me that they eat at the same table and then tell me that you're worth $200 billion, but you're cutting their wages. So the union didn't make you do that, you do that. Now, again, it depends on the situation. And some places, I think that people, I might regret saying this because I'm sure I'm gonna get some articles showing that's not the case all the time at all. But in the beginning, a long time ago, people seemed to enjoy working at SpaceX, one of the companies that he ran. But since then, there's been a lot of bloodletting in a lot of companies that he's run. And obviously, no one enjoys working at Twitter because he fired 3/4 of the employees there. So he has just about as bad a track record as you could possibly imagine in that situation. So he's the last person on earth to talk about lords and peasants at companies. And that the real problem is that the people representing the employees are the ones that are creating that situation. No, you're creating that situation. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.